she might be. Anybody seen her? What?
Here I am. Doing the final leg. Rest is going to be easy after that. I'm feeling a little nauseous. Well, you've all seen this pathway before, right? This is the pathway for a vision. Every student and graduate prepared for a bright and successful future. And just a few weeks ago, the school board, along with the leadership team, set milestones to getting to that vision. I want to share them with you now. The first milestone is now. And what I can say about now is we're in a continuous improvement model. We've been doing this for the last 7 years. What that's all about is taking students from where they are to the next level. And like we say, no shame, no blame, and no excuses. And when we reach another level, we celebrate and we just keep going until all of our students have met or exceeded standards. So let me talk about the next place. The next place is in 2015. In 2015, we want all third graders reading at grade level. We're making great progress towards meeting that goal. After that, let's look at what happens in 2020. In 2020, all 8th graders will be reading and doing mathematics at grade level. In fact, all 8th graders will be algebra ready, which means they will enter high school algebra ready. Of course, the last benchmark is 2025. In 2025, our students will be career and college ready. Just like Cam. Cam's a graduate from Springfield High School, and he's on his way to Princeton. I think we can say he's career and college ready. So, yes, these milestones are critical for us meeting our vision. Every student and graduate prepared for a bright and successful future. And there's something we all know. This is such a core value for us in Springfield, and I want to share it with you. The value is how well teachers and educational systems teach through working individually and with collective effort directly impacts student learning. I love the research that says the person teaching the student is the person who can have the biggest impact on our students. We know that as educators, and now the research is supporting it. Well, in order to make sure we can do our best to support this value, we've been taking 4 major actions. I want to talk about those actions now. The first action is embedded professional collaboration to drive targeted instruction at individual level. What you see here is a group of teachers from Douglas Gardens. They came back to school early to look at their students' data so they could know exactly where every student was so they could get interventions to students the minute they arrive at their school tomorrow. So let's take a look at the second major action. The second major action is locally designed assessments that are even at a higher level than the state level. The third is extended learning opportunities. Extended learning opportunities are critical for our students, and I want to share 2 key examples of those with you. The first one is what we're calling academic boot camp. Academic boot camp took place at 2 schools this last year. That was at Hamlin Middle School and Springfield Middle School. What academic boot camp is, we took our students most in need of remediation, of catching up, particularly in literacy, and we provided extended time. Academic boot camp took place at non-school Fridays and on Saturdays. It really, we believe, has made a lasting importance. It will make a lasting impression for the particular student who had an opportunity to go to academic boot camp. The fourth important action is evidence-based teaching strategies, programs, and models. Right now, we've adopted evidence-based programs in both math and reading. And let's talk about the results. I mean, we're working hard, but the question is, are we getting results? Let's talk a little bit about some of these schools. bring interventions to them. And that is what they did. In addition, they used an effective instructional strategy called reading apprenticeship. The idea behind reading apprenticeship is that every teacher is a reading teacher. So integrating reading into all the subject area and use responsive interventions are two strategies that have made Thurston Middle School successful. The next school I'd like to talk about is Hamlin Middle School. What a success story we have in Hamlin Middle School. How many people saw this article on Hamlin Middle School? Hamlin Middle School is a school that has some very real challenges. Many kids who go to Hamlin Middle School come from families in poverty. But what Hamlin Middle School staff believed so deeply in was high expectations for all students. And they took that and then they rearranged their schedule so they could have collaborative time and given extra time to really be able to talk together professionally. They have made an extraordinary difference. Let's look at their data. As you can see, using continuous improvement, they have moved up every year. A year ago, Hamlin Middle School was in sanction, and this year they met AYP. That's an amazing story. Now I want to spend a few minutes talking about the Academy of Arts and Academics. This last spring was the first graduation for kids who started at the Academy in 9th grade and graduated in 12th grade. Not only did they graduate, but 60% of their students are going on to college. Let's talk about what's unique about the Academy of Arts and Academics. First of all, they use time very differently than our other schools. They make sure that there's time to collaborate so teachers can work on project-based instruction, which is a core research-based effective strategy that they use constantly at the Academy of Arts and Academics. Not only do they have collaborative time, but they have what is called J-term. What J-term's about is in January, the whole month of January, students don't go to school. Instead, they're placed out in a career which they think is the career they want to pursue as they go off to college. I got to see a student working with a veterinarian actually assisting in a surgery. I got a little nauseous at that point, too. You might be asking this question: how can we afford to do online learning? And what I need to say to you is, how can we afford not to? Let me explain. Last year, we had 162 students, Springfield students, leave Springfield to go to get online education in online charter schools. You know we want to educate Springfield children in Springfield. So we not only lost 162 students, but $1 million walked out of the door when they left. Let me talk about what we want that to look like in Springfield. What we're thinking of in Springfield is what we call a hybrid program. We want our people educated in the four walls of our schools at least part of the time, because we know great things happen there. How a hybrid works is if a student, for example, doesn't pass a class, say Algebra 1, using the theory that the second cycle shouldn't look like the first cycle, instead of taking it again in the same methodology, they could take an online course. Or if you had a student who really was concerned about a grade they wanted and wanted a higher grade so they could get in a school they're targeting, they could take a second trial online. It's also a great opportunity for gifted and talented students. I think we all know, with the diminished resources, just like the rest of our students, our gifted and talented students have not had the opportunities they've had before. We have students who are tremendously gifted in languages, and now, due to resources, we can only offer 2 languages at each of our high schools. But with online learning, if a student wanted to pursue a 3rd language, they could. So this is a new instructional strategy, and we think it holds great hope for our students